What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be talking about one of the Chicago Bulls players that does have a player option on the Chicago Bulls team, basically coming out very early and saying that the plan is to pick up his player option, which could be a good thing for some people, might not be a really good thing for others, and we're going to discuss all about that in this video. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bull Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not you'd like to see this player return to the Chicago Bulls next season. And the player that we'll be talking about today is Derrick Jones Jr. Basically, again, I think I saw this from KC Johnson, I guess, kind of mentioning that, hey, I have a player option, and look, it's still very early on to make that decision, but the plan is to pick up that player option for the Chicago Bulls, which basically puts him as one of the key players that will be a Chicago Bull next season. Now, there are a couple of ways that I know people will respond to this. Obviously, some people really do believe we need an overhaul of the bench and we need different styles of play into the team. Other people really like Derrick Jones Jr. Again, he's always a guy that stays ready. He's able to produce at a good level. And for the most of the season, he's either at our power forward or small or our backup center position for the Chicago Bulls. He's had a couple of situations where he's had to do that, and the Bulls have tried to implement him as a backup center for 2 seasons now with the Chicago Bulls team. So yeah, there are a lot of questions there, and ultimately, the way that I see it, I'm actually I feel very good that he's going to be back with the Chicago Bulls for a couple of reasons. One, we really need to play faster, and I think if there's anybody that is willing to play faster and willing to play above the rim, it would be Derrick Jones Jr. He's obviously very versatile in the way that he plays. He could be a shooting guard sometimes, he could be a backup center and other times, he could be a small forward, a power forward. He's basically could play 2 to 5 in many ways with the Chicago Bulls team, depending on the team that we are versing. Some instances, small ball does help us, but in other instances, small ball does hurt us. So it's all about finding that balance. Which teams can you use Derrick Jones Jr. as a backup center with, and which teams should you not use Derrick Jones Jr. as a backup center with? But other than that, very, very versatile. His 3-point shooting is getting a little bit better every season, which is obviously good, but he's a bench player that comes in, stays ready. When his opportunity is there, he will take advantage of it. When he has to wait for his moment, he'll be very patient. He's a very good, solid role player to have on the Chicago Bulls team. He's definitely not the best role player we could ever see, but he's solid, he's good, and I think that will help the Chicago Bulls in the long run overall. And his contract is not terribly expensive either, so I think that helps the Chicago Bulls. It won't dramatically hurt us financially, which is always a big positive sign. And look, I don't think the Chicago Bulls themselves are going to say, oh no, Derrick Jones Jr. is going to accept his player option. That's terrible. We can't do anything about that and stuff like that. I think with this news coming out that Derrick Jones Jr. could potentially accept his player option, I think the Bulls are going to be saying, right, we got a player back onto this team. It's a player that Billy Donovan loves to use. Let's keep on going and let's try and improve the team even further. That's what I think the Chicago Bulls mindset will be in relation to Derrick Jones Jr. And again, it's always nice when you hear people say that they are a Chicago Bulls super fan and they want to stay in the Chicago Bulls team. You don't get many people like that anymore, you know. Loyalty in sports is close to being non-existent anymore. There are very, very few, I guess, situations where loyalty in sports is a big thing, and I admire those players that do remain loyal. Obviously, Derrick Jones Jr. has played for other teams beforehand, but the fact that he could potentially be turning down a little bit more money, which he could get, maybe he won't get it, but he could get it from a different team to potentially pick up his player option for the Chicago Bulls, I think it's a good thing that we're starting to see Derrick Jones Jr., I guess, wants to continue to be a Chicago Bull, wants to be in Chicago, and that's obviously a nice feeling. It is a nice feeling when anybody says that, and of course when Derrick Jones Jr. says it as well, it has those same feelings and effects. It feels good to know that players want to be part of the Chicago Bulls team. We're not normally a team that does well in the free agency period, or a team that likes to acquire superstars from free agency. We just haven't been that team in a long time, if ever, really. So again, it's nice to see that, yeah, we may have got him from a sign and trade, but it was from free agency. We picked him up in free agency, obviously last season as well. And yeah, it's good to see that he's going to accept his player option, and it's not the worst thing in the world to see either. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to see Derrick Jones Jr. back. I know a lot of people, including myself, I've given a lot of stick towards Derrick Jones Jr., but it's not necessarily because of him. It's because Billy Donovan puts him as the backup center spot in games where it hurts him to be in that backup center spot. It hurts the team, it hurts him, it just hurts everybody in those games. And I put that on the coaching staff, not Derrick Jones Jr. I admire the fact that he likes to play in all these positions, and I like that he's willing to put in a lot of effort to help this team grow. And again, I think it's a good role player to have on this team. So let's see what happens in the future. Glad to see Derrick Jones Jr. potentially coming back. Obviously, it's not final. There's still a chance where, look, an NBA team can tamper with him and say, look, we'll give you this amount of money. He might leave after that, you know. You just never know. Tampering is still a big thing in the NBA. It happens everywhere, including the Chicago Bulls. We got caught for it at the end of the day. So yeah, look, I wouldn't say it's a foregone conclusion that Derrick Jones Jr. will accept his player option, but it's leaning more towards that side, and I'm very excited for that. If he does leave the Chicago Bulls, will I be devastated? Probably not, because again, he is a role player at the end of the day, but I will obviously miss what he can bring to the table in terms of his athleticism and staying ready for the team. I think a lot of teams could do well with Derrick Jones Jr. in the lineup, and yeah, it's going to suck to see him kind of go in many ways as well, but yeah, I wouldn't be terribly devastated, but I wouldn't necessarily be happy about it either. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. A shorter video today, but again, an interesting topic, and we've got more to come, ladies and gentlemen. The free agency talks are still going to continue. Still plans to do on player reviews and stuff like that, grading the Chicago Bulls player seasons. All these things are still to come. I know the NBA playoffs are still on a lot of people's minds, and look, it's been very entertaining. The NBA playoffs have been, of course, the Phoenix Suns and Clippers games, the Sacramento and Warrior games. Those two series, in my opinion, are very, very exciting to watch. Not to mention, Denver's playing at a very good level right now in the Western Conference. You move over into the East, and Boston are looking absolutely dominant. The Cavs and the Knicks series is looking very competitive as well. Very, very gritty and defensive. It's exciting times for the NBA playoffs. It just makes me wish we were a part of it. But lo and behold, we didn't get that privilege this time around. Maybe next season will be our season. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.